Hello everybody, and welcome to the Deck Tech video for the Memories of the Golden Day Turbo Mirror Match video we put up.
Just golden days.
Yeah. Anyway, these are...
My butt hurts.
Anyway,
took me to town.
These are our decks. They're both very similar, and they both have the same strategy, and I'll go ahead and start and go over mine first. Alright, we'll start with what makes the deck work, which is Fiethsing, the ruler. Alright, she has an ability that says, whenever you play your second card each turn, put a 1/1 Wind Elf Resonator token into your field. So, you play a lot of cheap or zero-cost things, and it makes it real easy to get 2 Resonators out to play Gwyber.
Let's do like the, show them how the deck works.
Yeah.
Show them the core.
Yeah. So, basically, turn 1, you want to play, like, a Regalia.
Yeah.
And ideally, you want to use the second turn because you need 2 will to make this work. And then you'll play a Resonator, preferably something like a Guinevere, but sometimes you have to energize. Yeah, definitely if you're going second, you have to energize into a Tama. And then you get a Elf token. And then Gwyber, the White Dragon, says, you may pay 2 void less to play this card for each Resonator you control that was put into your field this turn.
Yep.
Control 2 Resonators, you can play Gwyber for 1. There you go.
Oh my word.
So basically, the idea is to get big flying Resonators out for super cheap or free.
You throw them out and they go, I'm a dragon! And then your opponent goes, oh no!
And then, but yeah, we'll go over each of the cards now. So, Guinevere, she is a phenomenal card. There's a reason in the Wanderer format she's banned, because she's quite good.
Because
she has 2 abilities. One, banish Rester, banish Resonator, draw 2 cards, and then discard a card. Basically, card advantage city. And then she has a second ability that is very rarely used, but it was actually used by Kevin in our match video.
Yeah.
You pay a red and rest her. Target Resonator gains +4/+4 until end of turn. When it deals or is dealt damage this turn, banish it.
I actually love using her second ability, just because no one ever sees it coming. I've won matches with it before because they're like, oh.
Yeah, see,
I forgot.
In our match video, it actually caught me off guard. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing Guinevere can do.
Yeah.
So she's very good. You want to get her. You want to see her in opening hand. She will draw you so many cards. You basically draw your entire deck with her.
Yep, we have played 3 games, and the first 2, one was off camera, but I didn't see a single Guinevere, even though I full mold.
All right. Ugh, it was painful. All right, the next card is Rook Egg. He's a 0/2 1-cost red Resonator. He cannot attack. But he has an ability that says, when this card is put into a graveyard from your field, search your main deck for a fire Resonator, reveal it and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your main deck. So he combos really good with Guinevere, because you can use Guinevere's first ability, banish a Rook Egg, then his trigger goes on the stack. You search your deck for preferably another Guinevere, most of the time, sometimes a Drake, if you're feeling spicy. Then you shuffle your deck, or you reveal the Drake, put it in your hand, shuffle your deck up, and then you draw 2 cards and discard one with Guinevere. A lot of card advantage there.
Yep, they remember that not Rook Egg that they printed? That was like a 4-cost, and you got a 6/6 dragon out of it?
Yeah, no. Alright, next card is Tama, everyone's favorite, classic. When this card enters the field, draw a card, banish the card. This card deals 200 damage to target Resonator. Pretty good.
Standard green. If you're playing green, you're playing Tama.
Next, Alice's Little Scout. I love this card. When this card is put into a graveyard from your field, draw a card. That combo is really good with another card, also Guinevere, but we'll go over that card when we get to it. Next is a little bit of tech. This is Triton, Emperor of the 7 Seas. He has an enter ability. When this card enters your field, gain control of target Resonator until end of turn. That's really good, because you can use it with Adam Brawley. Look at what he does in a second. You can use it to banish to Guinevere, and if you have a Levantine on the field, you can banish with that. So it's basically a kind of a pseudo kill spell.
Yeah.
He's pretty nice, and he gives you a body. So not a very good one, but you get one. All right, next we'll go over this card. He's amazing. This is Adam Brawley. He has incarnation for any of the colors twice. So basically, you can incarnate any of your cards, 2 of any of your Resonators, and you can play him without paying his cost. And then he has all kinds of enter abilities when you do that. What?
5.
Oh, 5, yes. When this card enters your field, if it was played by its incarnation, for each different attribute among all banished Resonators, do the following. White, gain 400 life. Red, this card deals 400 damage to up to one target Resonator. Blue, draw a card. Green, produce one of any color. And darkness, your opponent loses 400 life.
Gee, he's one of the best cards in the game, as far as I'm concerned, but he's so niche that he can't be used outside of this deck.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a place in like anywhere else.
He's so unique and cool, but
he's also a 6'8", which is a pretty decent body.
yeah.
But yeah, you can do all kinds of crazy combos with this guy. Like one of the most popular ones is you can incarnate a couple times to get a Drake out. I'll just go over let's just go over what Drake does real quick. He's basically a bad Gwyber. He says you may pay one void less to play this card for each Resonator put into a graveyard from your field this turn. So if you get 4 guys into the graveyard, like with Adam Brawley, you can play him for 1 red. So, but that's kind of one of the things you want to do with Adam Brawley, or at least I try to do, is you can use him to, you know, get a bunch of dudes in the graveyard real quick if you need to play Dre. You can incarnate 2 guys, then maybe get an elf token if you didn't play anything else, and then you can produce a white if you want to, because you got the token, play a Gwyber. There's all kinds of fun stuff you can do with Adam Brawley.
Yeah. Typical first turn plays go. If you go first, what is there? I believe there's. No, there's not.
There's not really anything. Anyway, you can get Gwyber out first turn, unless you're playing more modern and you got Favor.
Yeah, Favor is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
But if you go second, you can. If you don't have a Regalia to drop because you dropped it your first turn, you can play a Resonator, and then you play another Resonator that gets you an Elf token, and then you hit the Resonator and the Elf token with the Adam Brawley, producing a white, and then you play Gwyber off of that.
Yeah.
He's a really good tool that makes your deck really slot in how it's supposed to go.
Yep. All right, we've already went over Gwyber and Drake. Let's go over to Tanya, Prideful Queen. I really like this card. She is she's a 12/12 flyer, and she has a ability. It says, as you play this card, you may rest any number of Resonators you control. Pay 2 void less to play this card for each Resonator rested this way. So she would normally cost 7 if you had to hard cast her, but you know, since you have all these tokens and 1-drops, it makes it really easy to cast her for 1 blue. And then she has a bonus ability. Other water Resonators and fairy Resonators you control gain +2/+2.
Yep.
So
makes your Adam Brawley is scary.
Yeah, you get 8-10 Adam Brawleys if you have 1 out. If you have 2 out, then your opponent's probably shaking in their boots.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's very good. I kind of, you know, a lot of times I want to see her over like a Gwyber or a Drake, but you know, Gwyber and Drake are easier to cast a lot of times, so. Or they're more consistent to cast, I should say.
Yeah.
All right, then the next card is just a one-of, Keeper of the Past, Earther. She has a really cool ability. When this card enters the field, you may remove up to 2 cards in your graveyard from the game. If you do, it deals 200 damage multiplied by the combined total cost of the cards removed this way to target J/Resonator.
And because you've got a bunch of 5-cost dragons.
Yep. She's really good.
You saw me really abusing her during our games.
And then she also has another ability. As long as there are 10 more cards in your removed area, this card gains +3/+3 in target attack. That's almost never relevant in this deck, but it's there.
Yeah.
Then we have I have a 2-of Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic. This is particularly good in the mirror match, or just any deck where they have a creature that you want to like block and kill, or something you want to have lose its abilities. Very good card. Also has Remnant. So I'll go ahead and read what it does, just in case you don't know. Target Resonator loses all abilities and becomes a 4/4 bear until end of turn. Really good card. Has Remnant, quick cast, all the good stuff.
Oh man.
Yeah. Alright, next I have a 1-of Heavenly Gust. It's a chant with quick cast. Choose 1, destroy target additional regalia, or torrent, destroy all additions and regalia your opponent controls. This card is only in here for like things like Valentina 2.0, anything that wants to have a really good like regalia or addition base.
Yeah, you just don't ever want to be caught without it.
Yeah, and it's just a 1-of because I have another one in the sideboard for this deck, but yeah, it's just there in case I need it. All right, next, let's go over the Regalia base. We have.
Oh, I remember Regalia. Do you remember Regalia?
Yeah, and this deck has a Regalia base because it runs Ruler's Memoria. Anyway, this is Interdimensional Vessel Apollo.
Recently banned.
Yep. Your J Ruler gains flying. Then it has Rest, produce Moon, spin this wheel only to play Awakening cost or to play Judgment or God's Art abilities of J-Rulers with Kaguya in their name. This can be relevant if you're playing like Seal of Wind and Light, because you can use that to play its Awakening cost, so they can't chase to it.
Yeah.
But that's not really why you run this in this deck. You run this deck for its second ability, which is Banish this card, return target Resonator you control to its owner's hand. So it basically allows you to protect your like Gwybers and whatnot.
It is a 0-cost protect your creature. It is amazing.
Yep. So that is a very good card. That's why it's a 4 of in my deck. And then I run 2 Death Scythe. This is relevant if your opponent has a J-Ruler with Swiftness and Imperishable, or Imperishable, because it makes them lose it. It's a good card.
His other ability lets you remove things from your graveyard, but I'll go more into that when I show off my deck. I'll show you exactly how I did what I did.
He also has a Rest ability that gives your J-Ruler +2/+2, but that's not really relevant in this deck because you hardly ever flip Fiethsing.
Yeah.
Then I have one of Glitmir, the Red Binding of Fate. Whenever your J-Ruler deals battle damage to your opponent or a J-Ruler, draw a card. Oh, I didn't even know it had that. Cool. That's because I never flipped Fiethsing in this deck.
Oh, yeah.
And then it has a Rest ability that says target J-Resonator you control gains this... Oh, target J-Resonator your opponent controls. I read that wrong. I was like, wait a minute, have we all been using this card wrong?
No.
Anyway, this turn, this card must block the Fable. So it basically makes your opponent have to block with something, which is very nice, especially comboed with Water Transformation Magic.
Yeah.
If your J-Ruler is Valentina, it recovers whatever you use that, but we're not playing Valentina.
Yeah.
And then it has, discard another card named Glitmir and draw a card, but I don't have another one, so it never comes up. Then I have a 1 of Levantine because it's not really that relevant in this deck. It does have the ability to, it does all the things still. Makes your J-Ruler gain Swiftness. You can rest it to banish a Resonator, or no, you can just banish Resonator, recover it. You can rest it to give your J-Ruler make J-Ruler do +2 more damage. Then you can discard another one. I don't have another one, but if you did, you could discard it to produce red if you have one on the field already. Mm-hmm. And then banish this card, your J-Ruler gains Perishable in turn. Good card. That's why it's been banned forever.
Yeah.
And then, last but not least, I have a 1 of Horn of Sacred Beast. It has a Rest ability where you can produce 1 Void to play Sacred Beast. I don't have any of those. And then it has another Rest ability. It gives your J-Roller +2/+2. So this is nice. But the real reason you run this card is because of this last ability. Banish this card. Target player shuffles all Magic Stones from his or her graveyard into his or her Magic Stone deck, then shuffles all other cards from his or her graveyard into his or her main deck. So, including itself. So, it's a very good card. It basically stops you from decking out, which you can actually do in this deck as a Guinevere and Rook Egg. And then, lastly, I'll go over the Stone Base, which is 4 Ruler's Memoria. Produces 1 of any color, but it comes in the field rested if you don't control a Regalia, which is why I run so many of them.
Frickin' the Zane curse didn't show up, and I'm so mad.
Yeah, normally I never see any Regalia because I'm just super unlucky. But
yeah, it's an actual curse. He is doomed to never draw Regalia, but it didn't happen.
All right, and then last for the remaining 6 stones, I run 2 Blasting Wave, 2 Heat Ray, and 2 Hearthcore. And the reason I run these is because they all produce red as the base color, and I want to always be able to cast these cards. This one produces green for like Tama, or mostly just Tama. This one produces white for Gwyber, and this last one produces blue for all the blue stuff we got.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's my deck and the Stone Base and all that. So let's go over Kevin's. His deck is mostly the same as mine, so let's just go over the differences.
Mine is the pure turbo variant. Yours is the more control-oriented variant. But this one is focused on using the Guineveres and the Rook Eggs to get your deck as small as possible and then cycle dragons every single turn. The different editions, Seal of Wind and Light, I wanted to run a cancel. I run the one Uther main deck, but I do run more in the sideboard because it's super useful. But what it mainly focuses to do, and that's the pure variant mainly is what really wants to do this. So you've got your Guinevere, right? You use this to cycle through your deck, get as many cards as possible. You want to play 2 or 3 Guineveres, and just always have them going every turn to get your entire deck into your graveyard. Then you use Death Scythe's last ability. Remove 3 cards in your graveyard from the game. Put this card from your graveyard into your hand. Because that's an activate ability before it actually goes into your hand, you can do it any number of times. So once that's in your graveyard, most of your deck is in your graveyard, things you don't really care about seeing. You activate it and remove, probably about most of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and leave these in your graveyard. Then after that, you banish Horn, shuffle all your dragons back in, and then for the rest of the game, you are only drawing dragons. Now, sometimes you may want to leave something like the Seal of Wind and Lights in, but for the most part, all you want to do is dragon spam. I run this one just because it's usually more consistent. This time it hit me a bit hard in the consistency department, but admittedly, if I were to change this deck a little bit, I'd probably change the stone base a bit. Because I was running these to kind of get an early Seal of Wind and Light, but I forgot just how mana intensive this entire deck strategy is. And yeah, that was my bad. Besides that, it's really just the exact same as his. I don't run the Titanias because I want to run all my Dregs, all my Gwybers, and just have them.
Yeah. Why don't you put like a one of like a Fairy Tale Library so you can give them swiftness?
Fairy Tale Library, Alexandria.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Wasn't that a thing a while ago? Someone like floated that idea. Like, hey, what about this Fairy Tale Library Alexandria in a turbo deck?
I think I remember Peter at our locals did that and it was pretty good.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
And it was like, I also remember I beat his turbo with fairies.
Anyway, those are the decks. Let us know what you think of them in the comments. Let us know if you were around in the game when these decks were just like actual like New Frontiers format.
This was our start, basically.
Yes.
Like we started at what was it? The Twilight, the Moonlit Savior.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, Moonlit Savior had just come out. Then we all started playing the game. We didn't really know each other then, but as the sets came out and we really found our swing of things and started doing better decks, Turbo was one of the big ones that we used.
Yep. So
and it was awesome.
But yeah, anyway, we'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this deck tech. Right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.